No, the thing was when I was editing 5-question interviews last week, I thought, it'd be kind of cool to do a video capture. I screwed it up. I did a window capture instead of a monitor capture, so it wasn't showing a monitor capture, so it wasn't showing the dialog boxes I was opening up. But still, it kind of shows just still it. But still, it kind of. But still, it kind of. But still, it kind of shows just like a half hour of what is entailed in what is entailed in editing audio. So in editing audio, so just like a 5-minute chunk took that half hour. 5-minute chunk took that half hour. But you saw the little unique challenge. What you saw. Took that half hour, but you saw the little unique challenges that arise from not just recording with Skype, but just inherent conversation flow issues. And I thought, and I thought, that might be kind of a cool. And I thought it might be kind of a cool idea to do specifically for a Patreon. Just have these little tutorial videos on audio editing. And already I've piqued some people's interest with it. So that is something that I'm going to start just doing as I'm editing, because it's no skin off my teeth to do it when I'm editing. Just little tutorial videos, and you can ask me, how do you fix this issue? How do you cut words apart? It seems so easy, yet when I do it, it sounds like garbage. It seems so easy, yet when I do it, it sounds like garbage. That kind of thing.
You know what you should call it? You know what you should call it?
What?
Player 4 Toots.
No, it's just going to be it's just going to be audio editing, because it's just going to be unlisted links that I'm going, because it's just going to be unlisted links that I'm going to provide the link to, because it's going to be unlisted links that I'm going to provide the link because it's going to be unlisted links that I'm going to provide the link to via our Patreon, which again is patreon.com. Patreon, which again is patreon.com/player4podcast. It's just an additional service, and you get access to it with the $1 tier. So that's a little shameless. With the $1 tier. So that's a little shameless plug there. I had an outlet for. What were you saying, Alex?
Put it on the screen, Joseph.
I'll
put it on the screen.
What were you saying, Alex?
Put it on the screen, Joseph. I'll put it on the screen.
Awesome.
On the screen.
Awesome. So Awesome. So speaking of
on the screen.
Awesome. So speaking of games, wait, we weren't talking about games, but we're talking about games now. The next thing on the list is I've been playing Words with Friends this week.
Wait, that's not on the Wait, that's not. Wait, that's not on the list at all. I don't. Um, um, list at all. I don't see WWF. I see PTCG and MTG.
Aren't we doing Words with Friends right now?
Oh, no. Okay. So after we get the flip out of here, we're gonna wrestle because we have WWF.
Oh, you tricked me. I think he's a tricking me. Well, I have actually been playing Words with Friends a lot lately. But no, the thing is, I mentioned in the live stream with Brett last week that I had just become a Pokemon professor and that I was going to take my test this weekend. And I just wanted to reiterate the fact that I'm going on a trip this weekend to Oklahoma. Reiterate the fact that I'm going on a trip this weekend to Oklahoma. Nobody goes there on purpose. Well, nobody goes there on accident. Everyone goes to Oklahoma. Nobody goes there on accident. Everyone goes there on purpose.
Just to become a
Nobody goes there on accident. Everyone goes there on purpose.
just to become a Pokemon professor.
Purpose. Oklahoma. Well, nobody goes there on accident. Everyone goes there on purpose. Oklahoma. Nobody goes there on accident. Everyone goes there on purpose.
Just to become a Pokemon professor.
Well, no, I already became a Pokemon professor. I'm going to Oklahoma to take my level 1 judge test for magic.
Ah, okay, that was the second thing I was.
So, are you Professor Jade Dunlap?
What does the
I don't
professor
think you
even
get to.
do?
They're a judge and they're a tournament organizer.
Oh, so this is for Pokemon trading card game, and then versions for both on trading card game, and then
Wait, yeah.
judge. So you're basically becoming a judge for both versions, for both types of game. Well, both games.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And also the guy who I'm carpooling with that is the manager of carpooling with that is just got his back with that is the manager of the gaming store is also going to become a magic judge this weekend if all goes as planned, and just got his background check done for becoming a professor, which made me salty because I took the professor test and did the application back in like May when I just started playing, and it took me until last week. And
I was going to ask you.
And
I was going to ask
test
you.
this weekend.
I was going to ask.
Test this weekend.
I was going to ask you, like,
this weekend.
Based off your experience. I was going to ask
test
you.
This weekend.
I was going to ask. I was going to ask you, like, based off your experience, which one kind of seems more. I wouldn't say involved, but like maybe more intensive or something between becoming a Pokemon professor / judge and Magic the Gathering judge. But it seems like you were kind of in limbo at the Pokemon trading card game professor stuff, while Magic the Gathering seems more involved.
Was that a question? Was that Was that a question?
It was a question slash comment. It was a question. It was a question slash comment. Like which one would which one would you say like took more effort? I guess.
I can
were they both
explain the
equal?
process.
Okay.
It's kind of like when I asked Malachi a question by asking Brett a question. A question. 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 A question. Question by asking Brett a question.
I mean, I asked a question and then followed it up with my own comment about my question.
Okay, so here's the process. To become a Pokemon professor, basic level, you take a simple test. You take a simple test. You take a simple test. You take a you you take a you take a simple test. You take a simple test that just sorry, I scratched my nose. That just explains that take a simple test that just explains that you kind of understand the basic rules as well as like different things like what direction do you things like what direction do you turn the card to represent different status effects, like it's upside down if it's confused, for example.
Mm-hmm.
For example,
Mm-hmm.
policy questions like the way that you administer penalties, based off of favoritism, which is bad, versus based off of maybe it's like two beginning players that are kind of younger. Maybe it's like two beginning players that are kind of younger and not in the running for prize support, meaning the packs that you get at the end. Maybe you might be a little bit more lenient with packs that you get at the end. Maybe you might be a little bit more lenient with them. Different policy things like that that are shared among all card games. So a lot of the policy stuff I was already prepared for because I'd already started my Magic the Gathering judge training at that point. Very simple test, and then after simple test, and then after you do, and then after you do that, you finish up the application and you tell them why you should be a professor, which again is part judge, part tournament organizer, because in order to have a league, you have to have a judge. And we did not have a judge. The two guys, the store manager and one of the more experienced Pokemon players, both failed the test on their first attempt, which meant they didn't know the game as well as they should have. They didn't know the game as well as they should have.
Yeah.
Even though Logan have.
Yeah.
Even though Logan, the experienced guy who taught me, and like we go back like a long time, should have known better because he plays online. And I'm calling you out, Logan. And I'm calling you out, Logan. But he finally did.
Shots fired.
He finally passed the test this week, and then Brandon retook it this past weekend. And then Brandon retook it this past weekend. Well, okay, I took the test back in May. And I was like, I need to week. Okay, I took the test back in May. I was like, I need to be a professor so that we can have a league. And in order to even do pre-release events where we get to experience a set when it comes out in a limited format, we need to have a professor. Please make me a professor. They got back to me last week with my background check, and then I checked the website and it said it was a basic level professor. Unfortunately, I still don't have access to the professor tools on the profile, so I sent them a customer service email, and they're going to probably take about as long to get back to the profile. I sent them a customer service email, and they're going to probably take about as long to get back to me as they have already taken.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then I got to the store on Friday, and I said, okay, I've been trying to get the league thing started. Brandon, the manager, goes, oh yeah, so we heard from this Brandon, the manager, goes, oh yeah, so we heard from this professor from Abilene, which is 70 miles away, and apparently the professor from Abilene, which is 70 miles away, and apparently the store owner had asked her to set up a league. Store owner had asked her to set up a league for us. And I'm like, what? Well, apparently this process was started. Apparently this process was started 2 months ago, and it took them 2 months to get the league started up. And it's almost been a week. It took them 2 months to get the league started up, and her intent was to pass the league on to the professor when we got one. So I sent her friend request on Facebook and a message. And she has yet to get back to me. And it's almost been a week. All that to say, it takes forever to get anything done in Pokemon. I say that, and then Brandon took the test on Saturday and has already done his background check like 3-4 days later. And so I'm a little bit salty. I think he got fast-tracked because I helped him do better on the test than I did originally.
Nobody wants to talk to Joseph. Nobody wants to talk to Joseph. Nobody wants to talk to Joseph.
Apparently not.
Talk to Joseph.
Apparently not. And then Logan just passed his test, so hopefully he gets to be certified. So in our Discord for the store. In our Discord for the store, he's like. So in our Discord for the store, he's like, we're going to be certified AF. So yeah.
As bleep.
Yeah, certified as lots of other bleep. That's the process of being a Pokemon basic level judge, which means your only function is to run a league. Now let's move over to Magic the Gathering. The function of a the function of a level 1 judge because they no longer have rules advisor. Level 1 judge because they no longer have rules advisor. You go straight to level 1 is to judge local tournaments at regular rules enforcement level or REL. And that means that you've got to be familiar with the documents pertaining to judging at regular REL, as well as the basics of the way that a tournament is run, the way that players are expected to behave at such tournaments, and the basics of the game. If you can teach the game to someone accurately, you probably know enough for level 1. Unfortunately, not everyone teaches the game correctly. So if you're listening to this, you're like, I know the rules well enough to be L1. You probably still don't. There's a lot of ins and outs and whatnots and what have yous, nuts and what have you, nuts and what have yous, whatnots and what have yous, as the dude would say, as the dude would say. There's a lot of ins and outs and whatnots and what have yous, as the dude would say.